Hello you beautiful people, welcome back to Like Plays video. Today we are going to be doing our normal tier list video. So we are doing it for the month of September. I know we're about to go into October and this is probably going to go live as we tick into October, but it's okay. So the tier list will incorporate Adam Blake, who is coming out hopefully on the 1st of October now. So it is sort of up to date. Boys, let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to explain the three categories we're going to be tier listing. The level 50 tier list, the level 65 tier list, and then the level 80 tier list, or the level 100 tier list, however you want to call it. So this is because skills are divided into three, well, abilities are divided into three different categories, right? When you get a character pre-level sort of 60, you only have access to these abilities. Then at 60, you unlock this, or 65, we like to call it, because that's where you get the card. And then right at the end, at level 80 plus, you'll unlock the last two abilities, plus the last special card, which is typically their black card or their special card. So that's why we're doing it that way, and that is how it's always been done. So, without further ado, let's get into this. This is my level 50 tier list. Now, a lot of you are going to be wondering immediately what the hell is going on. Shido sits at the top. The reason Shido sits at the top is pretty clear, I think. He has turn generation into his passive, and on top of that, he has a very, very good kit. We could always argue Shido could be in the S tier, but listen, when you have turn generation and you're creating multiple turns every single time we train, I get on average 2 to 3 turns every time I train with Shido. It means you're going to get like an extra 5 to 10% bonus points every single time you train. That makes him invaluable, and I think he sits alone at the top of OP tier as a level 50. If you are training as a free-to-play, Shido should almost always be in your comp, given that he's the only character really that gives it within its passive in this manner. So super, super good card. Fantastic. Definitely sits alone at the top. Now, sitting at the S tier, we have the likes of Pablo, Kunigami, Mitoma, King Sagi, Topper Nagi, and then I've thrown in Adam Blake as well, and I am going to quickly touch over them as to why. If you look at their kits between, like, before level 65, every single one of them have at least 2 of the trifecta, or something along those lines. They have very, very strong abilities. If not, they provide really good cards, and overall, they're just really good. They're just really good units. Now, none of them give turn extensions yet, or anything like that, but their kit is fantastic. So typically, when we talk about the trifecta, we're talking about special rate up, we're talking about bonus, or we're talking about lecture rate. So they're your sort of 3 things that we want to be trying to hit, and these units will be doing that. And these units are very, very powerful, and are sort of the cornerstones of when you're training as a free to play. Coming down into the second tier, you're going to see things like Movie Nagi, Movie Reo, the Baro V2. Now, by no means are these bad cards. They're just not as good. And as we progress through the tier lists, you're going to very quickly see that these cards actually get better and better. It's just their early forms are bad. So I know a lot of people are going to be going, why is Nagi all the way down here? Why is Reo all the way down here? But isn't he meant to be really OP? Spoiler, he is very OP, but he's only OP at max level. So he is going to be down here. Now, the Bachelors are down here. You've also got the likes of both Barrows. Rin. I think Rin's a really good card. I think people sleep on him, but he's a really, really good card. And a lot of these cards, when training, do provide some really cool stuff. For example, Gaga Maru down here is going to be giving you things like Cross Master, which is a very, very good skill. Unfortunately, pre-level 65, he isn't that good because he doesn't offer a black-red or anything like that, so this is why they're placed like this. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to look at this. I'm not going to go into detail about every single tier list or every single card as to why I put them there. I'll sort of pick out and highlight some of the more important ones, especially the ones at the top, and then progress like that. If you want to see a full tier list, I would recommend go and check out Haku's tier list, which is very similar to this. I think I've moved a couple of things around, but Haku does go into a lot of detail on each character as to why he's put them there, and if you want a full detailed breakdown, he is a fantastic resource to go to. So, now that we've done the level 50 tier list and why I think it's roughly like this, let's move on to level 65, because this is where it starts to get interesting. A lot of you free-to-play should be starting to hit this level 65 cap. That means because we're getting a lot of free summons, or because the game's giving us free copies, we might be hitting those level 65 caps. And as you can see, the tier list does change a little bit. Shido still sits at the top. His ability is just way, way, way too strong, as well as the fact that he gives us turn generation, which means Shido is going to be sitting solely at the top there. Now, Pablo becomes very good, as always. So does Kunigami. These guys who were really good at level 50, you know what, surprise, surprise, stay really, really good. One unit to really pick out here is the Bacha. Bacha gets considerably better at level 65. If we were to actually jump into the game, I will be able to show you very quickly as to why he does that. So, Bacha starts off with a very, very simple tech boost, lecture bonus, and then a lecture rate. he unlocks the lecture rate at level 60, and then he also gets his mental imagery card as well. Bacha is really, really, really cool. Because of that lecture rate up, this pushes him into that S tier. He now gets 2 of the trifecta, which is super, super cool. I mean, he does later on get, some more cards, which is great. But overall, this Bacha becomes really powerful. So at level 65, this Bacha is a big, big yes to me. And then you've got the likes of King Sagi to round that off. Now, you could make an argument and say, well, Baro has, really, really good cards and really, really good thing. Why should Baro not be up there? I think he just falls off. And compared to these guys, I think these guys just lack, the A tier just lacks a little bit. Now, I could have easily put most of that A tier into the S tier. I think if we had I think almost creating a third category is sort of important. Maybe we could have moved the Bacha down, moved the Baros up, but for the most part, I've sort of put the best characters pretty much at the start of the A tier. So, although if I have to be honest, I probably haven't done that too well looking at it. But yeah, there you go. This is, for the most part, okay. Something like that, probably. Dada probably goes down a bit. But yeah, something like that is probably quite good in terms of where I rate them. And I'd probably switch these two around as well. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That is my 65 tier list. That is where I would sort of put them. Now, the one I do want to talk about mostly is going to be the level 100 tier list, because this is where the game really changes. A lot of you whales or high spenders or people that want to spend are going to be asking, or people that just want to use friend supports, which characters are the best to be going with? And this is where the OP tier changes massively. So at level 100, we get access to new cards, we get access to abilities, like the level 80 plus abilities, and normally they are the most OP. So for example, in Rayo's case, he unlocks the 120% special lecture bonus. That is still, to this date, very, very powerful. So when we did this tier list months ago now, and he first came out, he was OP, and he still is OP, because no one matches or rivals that. Now, Shido continues with the lecture bonus. He actually ends up getting like 70%, plus he gets the turn generation. He becomes really, really powerful. Shido just stays in OP. And then Pablo gets moved up to OP as well. Now, him unlocking the black-purple, given the fact that his kit's already really, really powerful, just means he ticks himself just up into that OP tier, because again, turn generation is the new meta pretty much. The more turns you can generate, the better you're going to be. If you can generate an extra 5, 6, 7 turns in your training session, you're gaining well over 10% more power. So these three are absolutely great. Now, Adam Blake isn't out yet, so we don't know 100% if he's giving the OP tier, but I think he'll be in the OP or the S tier. I'm going to leave him in the OP tier, and the reason is he is going to come out with 100% lecture bonus. He's the only card right now in the game that's going to have 100%, outside of Rayo, who has 120. So he is going to be setting a new standard when it comes to lecture bonus. Now, cards moving forward will be having that, but he is the first. I think he's going to be in the OP tier, at least for a little while he's up there. Now, Nagi is the next card that goes into the S tier. He gets a really good boost at level 100, although he is due for a buff at some point. When he gets the buff, he'll be moving into the OP tier, but until then, he's going to stay in the S tier. Now, Gargomaru is a very good honorable mention. With his recent buff, he is very, very, very good at level 100. Having access to the black-red is super good when trading kit comps. So he stays up there. He moves, 2 phases up, doesn't he, into that tier. And then Baro naturally moves up as well, because access to black-reds. So there's a lot of cards here that have access to cards like black-red cards that are really good. Now, King Sagi gets an honorable mention as well, because his recent buffs are fantastic. Whilst he doesn't have a cool coloured card, he does have a very, very good kit. So he gets to stay in that S tier as well. Moving down to the A tier, these are the guys that you will sort of be training with. So whilst these are the staples that go into those comps, you need those A tier units to fill out those comps, and these are the units that really, really do stick out. Ryu is really slept on. I think he's really, really powerful. Whilst we don't have too many things to train physical, Ryu is phenomenal. Tokimitsu has phenomenal kit again. I think it's 40% on the stamina and 40% on the physical. Phenomenal for training. Raichi is always slept on, but, a triple exercise machine card, really, really good at 70% lecture bonus as well. So overall, this is where I would sort of rate the level 100 tier list. But guys, it's worth noting, Free Sagi is bad across the board. Yes, you can max him easily, but he has almost no use. Mitoma doesn't feel very good right now. His kit is bad, but he is going to get buffed. So don't worry too much, Mitoma fans. And Igarashi, the reason I like his lecture rate not lecture rate, his rate up, but he just doesn't bring enough in his kit. I think what he has is interesting. He needs a buff, he needs something, or he needs some direction, because right now he sort of brings speed, he brings stamina, and it's all just, it feels mismatched. It doesn't feel like something that's important, and this Chiggly just doesn't feel great across the board. So, for the most part, this is where I would rate my tier list. I hope this is a good visual representation. It doesn't go into too much detail. As I said, if you want to go into detail, check out Haku's video where he's got an hour on this. But yeah, if you just want a quick snap at the tier list, there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.